Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moltrap here, coming at you with another StarCraft commentary. This is another game between Jelizerg and GoodFriend, and that is not. It's not definitely not GoodFriend. Not as the reigning champion. There's Uv sweeping through. Zelos looking cool. You just gotta love the intros, don't you? The intros on the Star Leagues are just always so cool. Some are cooler than others, but I like this one. I like that intro a lot, actually. Anyway, we're coming into game number 3 here, ladies and gentlemen, of the 2005 ever OSL finals between Jelizerg, the gentleman on your left, and GoodFriend, the gentleman on your right. I was gonna say two legendary players. I would say Jelizerg definitely a legend in the esport of StarCraft. GoodFriend, I would say maybe well known. I don't know if you could call him a legend, honestly. Very, very solid player in this era. Very, not even solid, actually. Very strong. One of the top players in this era. But, you know, didn't ever get, like, the tons and tons of trophies and didn't have the longevity that Jelizerg did. So I don't know if you could quite call him a legend. But, either way, you know, at this point in time in 2005, these two guys were the cream of the crop. And we're going to get to see yet another game between them. This is on the map Luna, by the way, which means moon, in case you're curious. And I just say that randomly because I was just noticing that, like, oh yeah, it is kind of like a this tile set is kind of like a moon looking tile set, isn't it? Like the rocks and the kind of barren rocks and what have you. Although like the darker stones there, they look kind of paved. I mean, I guess this is a space universe, so you can have paving on a moon, theoretically. I actually don't know what the name of this tile set is. All the tile sets like have their own names, I think, but I don't remember what this one is. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. This is game number 3 of Jelizerg versus GoodFriend, and so far we've seen some really, really interesting games. Again, I still think it comes down to mistakes made, you know? Game number 1 was definitely a game of mistakes. GoodFriend made a couple mistakes. Jelizerg made some huge blunders and lost the first game as a result. GoodFriend, you know, actually, maybe I can't say that because, I don't feel like there were any major mistakes made in game number 2. GoodFriend, he took a little bit of a risk in going for a quick attack. You know, he scouted his opponent first. He knew it was a small map with very close distances between the spawn points. So it was a smart decision to go for a quick attack, to go for that bunker rush, to go for the SCV pull, to go for a really strong all-in attack to try and finish off Jelizerg. And imagine if that had worked too, right? What a genius he would be to get that all-in and go up to 2-0 in a best-of-5 series in the first 2 games. Would be a really, really strong situation. It was almost impossible situation to come back from for Jelizerg, right? So it was worth it. It was a good decision to make, I think, but it just didn't pay off for him. And I don't think GoodFriend really made any bad moves in his execution either. In fact, the more I think about that drone collapse, like I wonder if it was even maybe intentional. Like he kind of had his Marines in a bad position almost, and the drones got behind the lines, and then he actually just turned it around though. Now that did mean that the Zerglings were in a better position to attack the Marines because he was surrounded with the drones on one side and the SCVs on the other. I'm sorry, with drones on the one side and the Zerglings on the other. So that's why that attack fell apart. But I think he kind of did the best he could with that situation. Now this is really interesting. GoodFriend has 2 barracks. He's going for this early 2 barracks play, which he mostly favors. We've seen him go from 2 barracks into expansion, though. We've seen him go 1 barracks into tech, I think. Different kinds of plays there. But right now he's got 1 Marine on the ramp, and he's hiding the other Marines. Okay, now he's moved out with a group of Marines. But he was trying to disguise the fact that he had two barracks here. The scouting SCV is going to run in. He's going to see several Zerglings. Is he going to turn around, or is he going to go in for an attack with these Marines? He's going to turn around. Very smart move. He's like, oh, that's not 0 Zerglings, and I can just get some free drone kills. That is a lot of Zerglings. Never mind. He's actually going to combat the Zerglings for a moment, but he's going to lose some Marines as a result. This is not good at all. Oh, he needed to either fight or run, and he chose both or neither. And he's now going to lose the game, I think, very quickly, because he's just going to get all of his Marines killed. If he'd run straight back and reinforced or put those Marines on the ramp, he defends these Zerglings. If he stood and fought, he would have killed more of the Zerglings. But instead, he stood and fought and then ran and got the least of both worlds, basically, is kind of what it looks like there. He did kill a significant amount of Zerglings when he stood and fought, but then by turning back, if you know, I hate making this comparison, but I've done it a couple times, but if that was Nada, he would have microed those Marines separately in different directions and killed all those Zerglings. You know, Nada's the genius Terran. And I feel like in that situation, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but it was just like GoodFriend showing that he's not maybe quite at the same level as the tippy top of players. You know, and this is kind of his chance. This is his chance. This is his finals, that he has a chance to prove himself that, you know what, I can go toe to toe with the best Zerg and I can win. I can do what Nada does. I can do what Uv does. And he's gone halfway with that by beating GoRush in the semifinals, but he needs to beat Jelizerg to really prove it. And I just feel like other Terran players at this time, others of those top Terran players, would have fared better in that situation. So we'll see how this goes, though. Jelizerg, with a cute little strategy here, has some burrowed Zerglings. He's going in with 2 groups now. And oh no, he's trying to go up the ramp, and he doesn't quite move up for the surround. GoodFriend is a better spot. Oh no! Jelizerg losing a bunch of Zerglings. He even had the chance. There was a gap on the side of the Marines. He could have move commanded the Zerglings up the ramp and around the back and attacked from both sides and flanked that group of Marines, but instead he had the Zerglings attacking at the top of the ramp, and some of his Zerglings were just running around in circles at the bottom of the ramp because they were blocked from attacking by their own compatriots. And you know, not a great situation here. He's got a burrow trap here, but he can easily turn on him with the fire bats, though. That's exactly what happens. The trap was actually a counter trap, and it was actually not triggering a trap of his own, but it was actually just diving directly into the jaws of defeat. That was not good. He needed to maybe wait for more Zerglings or something like that, but with 2 fire bats in play, that was never going to work very well. I mean, just the 2 fire bats and the medics would kill all of those Zerglings. And the Marines were there as well, so not a very good situation. Now, here's what Jelizerg is really best at, the counterattack coming in here. He's going to put some pressure back onto GoodFriend. GoodFriend is not going to turn around, though. He's going for the push. The Zerglings are in his main, though. I don't know if this is... He can probably break these sunken colonies, and he's going to go for it right now, but the Zerglings are in his main at the same time. He's going to go in here. The Firebat is going to be able to do significant damage. The Firebat goes down very quickly. Actually, he targets the Firebat with the Sunkens, and that's going to mean the Zerglings are going to survive long enough to help alongside the drones, and Jelizerg holds. Jelizerg holds the push and doesn't even lose more than 1 sunken colony. In the meantime, the SCVs have to do battle with the Zerglings back in his main, and it looks like they've dealt with it, but still, losing several SCVs in the process, losing his entire Marine force. Oh my goodness, GoodFriend is not in a good position right now, at all, and GoodFriend didn't even really kill any drones. The targeting, I think it was intentional targeting of the Firebat with the sunken colonies. It may have just been because the Firebat goes in first and takes aggro, but it looked like it was an intentional targeting on that Firebat. Once the Firebats went down, the Zerglings and the Sunkens easily dispatched all the Marines. GoodFriend picking up a quick little Overlord kill, denying some vision, denying possibly blocking him, supply blocking Jelizerg. But it's too late. He's already got the Lurkers morphed. He's already moving across the map. And so Jelizerg is in a really great position here. He can use the Zerglings as a little bit of a foil, as a little bit of a prod that will help move units around and keep them in place for the Lurkers to do their damage. And the key here is, oh, he's actually going to try and go in for a little bit of attack. He actually is going to get a series of spines out. There's still Firebat there in the mix, so he has to be very careful not to lose those Marines. But Jelizerg being a little bit gutsy there. There was an opportunity for GoodFriend to again, turn and attack those lurkers. I think he probably doesn't have a scanner, though, is my guess. Otherwise, he could have theoretically attacked those lurkers and taken them out. GoodFriend, again, being a little bit non-committal. No, he does have a scanner. Okay, being a little bit non-committal and falling back and taking damage on the retreat instead of attacking. I don't think attacking was necessarily the best move, though. I'm not saying that. It's a little bit hard to tell, but as the lurkers were charging in, he had a chance to right-click the lurkers because Jelizerk moved them a far distance before he burrowed. He waited until they were right up next to them. Now, the Zerglings attacking made it so that was harder to pull off. Anyway, I'm going to stop dissecting that last battle because now Jelizerk is running in with a lot more stuff. The Lurker's going to burrow in a nice spot here. The scan does go down, and he's picked off all of the Zerglings. This time he has twice as many Marines. GoodFriend was correct to wait and regroup because now, with a stronger force, he's able to deal with only one extra Lurker extremely effectively and is able to hold things off here. Jelizerk losing a lot of Zerglings, losing most of his Lurkers as well, but he is not done yet. He's continuing the attack. He's continuing to morph more units, but it looks like he's not going to be able to contain him with just this one Lurker. The stim goes down. He's chasing that poor Lurker away with the one stim of Marines. The stim's going to wear off, so the Lurker's going to be able to get away, but still, Jelizerk all the way up into GoodFriend's natural expansion choke point is now going to completely retreat, and now GoodFriend has the control of the map once again. The Spire, though, is almost complete. So the next phase of the game is going to begin here pretty soon. Theoretically, you know, again, it's kind of interesting. I've noted this before, but, you know, more modern games play out more like the previous game that we saw, where the Mutalisks are used to harass, to buy time for the other tech, like Lurkers. In this case, in 2005, was actually more common, I feel, to... Is he just going to run some Zerglings by? He's going to lose a few, but this is just a distraction technique, I guess. Not sure exactly what he hopes to accomplish here. So he's going to be able to get a scout in, I guess, at the very least, and see if there's starports or anything like that, a factory going on in the background. He might be able to get some SCV kills, but he's actually going to lose a lot of... Oh, this is what he's doing. He's going in and targeting the turrets in a preemptive attack to try and get some damage on the turrets before the Mutalisks are hatching, and never mind, actually just kind of goes and loses, I guess, the supply depot. Doesn't even take out any Marines or anything like that. So not the best attack there by Jelizerk. Losing a dozen Zerglings for basically no damage. He got like one SCV and a little bit of side damage on a turret. So not really a powerful attack at all. But again, now we're seeing him move into using the mutas to buy time to get his tech and his economy going. Right? He's already got the Lurkers on the map, so he can kind of do a little bit of contain with them, and that will buy him even more time. The one Marine sacrificing its life to see, are there Lurkers here? Gets killed by 3 spines. Yes, there are Lurkers here. Anyway, Jelizerk does have this Mutalisk flock out now. He's going to be able to go in and do some harassment. He's actually targeting down the turrets pretty handily. There's no Marines here to actually do much damage, and the turrets just go down. The SCV is forced to be pulled. GoodFriend kind of waffling in the front again, not pulling his Marines back. He's actually done a good job here of splitting his Marines right now, getting some back up into his main... No, those are his SCVs. He is not retreating from the front line. I think he's scared that if he runs his Marines back into his main base to defend against the mutas, that the Lurker Lings will invade his natural and he'll just lose the game. But in the meantime, okay, he's brought a little bit of squad of Marines back into the main base, but it's not enough to really deter these Mutalisks. Look at him just going to town in the back of the base, getting a lot of damage done to the SCV count, picking off some reinforcing Marines as well as he flies out there. Is he going to get trapped here? And this time he does not fall into the trap, which he did in the first game, where he just ran, and in the semifinal of the last Starly, where he just ran his Mutalisks over Marines that were well placed, admittedly, but just ran them across without paying attention to them and lost so many hit points worth of mutas. In game 1, actually lost a ton of entire Mutalisks, just died. So he avoids that fate this time. If he could keep avoiding that fate for a little bit longer, and not, if Jelizerk could not screw up and throw away his entire army for another few minutes, he'll have the economy and tech to overrun and outpower GoodFriend, is kind of my prediction here. GoodFriend, though, moving into this standard play by him, getting the tanks up. He's probably going to get a starport as well. We're probably going to see him push out with a few tanks and a large force of medic Marines, and possibly a science vessel to go for a push. And then even if Jelizerg has a strong economy, it's still going to be difficult for him to defend. It's going to be, you know, that's the crucial thing about the Zerg race in general, playing it. You have to know when to switch between going for economy, going for tech, going for units, right? And if GoodFriend pushes out and Jelizerg has built too much tech and economy and doesn't have the units, he can just go overrun. The Mulus may be able to buy time if that happens, though. He may be able to build sunken colonies to buy time to actually get the unit count up to then have an army that can go toe-to-toe with GoodFriends. But it's difficult to pull that off. The Terran push, when it does happen, is extremely difficult to defend against, no matter how well you've been doing for the whole game. When the Terran moves out with a giant ball of bio and a few tanks and a vessel, sometimes even a Valkyrie if you're lucky, it's difficult to deal with, no matter what, no matter who you are. So we're gonna see when that occurs. We have the first tank out here. He's got 2 scanners as well. He's got more turrets built up as well. Is Jelizerg not gonna wait? Is he just gonna go for the kill? It looks like not. Okay, for some reason, for a moment, I thought he was posturing to go in for an attack here, which would not make sense. They've got a very good defense for GoodFriend in that corner, and he's getting a hive right now as well. So he's going to try and buy time for the hive tech. It would make so much more sense for Jelizerg to wait for GoodFriend to move out onto the map. Attacking into that choke point would be semi-suicidal. For anyone but Jelizerg, I might say suicidal. Jelizerg, it could work, it could not, but he's just able to pull off such a large army and pull off such aggressive attacks into positions that he should not be able to succeed at. All right, the hive is up. The Defiler Mound is on the way. So he is not going to be going for the Greater Spire attack. He's going to try and get Defilers. So he's got a little bit of time here before he's going to be able to get Dark Swarm. And it looks like that might be the timing that GoodFriend is going for. This is a perfect timing for GoodFriend. He's going to move out, actually making 3 starports in the back? What is this? That can't just be for vessels, right? Is he going to get raids? What is going to go on here? This is very interesting. He scans. He's going to be able to kill off some lurkers. He's pushing out. Now, what I was going to say is that choke point is potential suicide, but this wide open map is actually a very smart spot. He's going to go in at the choke, though, actually. He takes the opportunity, and he's going to go in from 2 different angles, but not enough angles, and GoodFriend is going to be able to pull back, but it looks like Jelizerg has too much stuff. Oh, my goodness. He's not even using the Mutalisk, unless the Mutalisk died, and I didn't see it, actually, at the beginning of that battle. But he is going to force GoodFriend back into his natural choke there with just a ton of Hydralisks. What is going on? He is going for Greater Spire. He went for Defilers and Greater Spire. How many bases does Jelizerg have? He's got 4. Does he have 5 bases? Jelizerg has 5 bases. How did he get 5 bases? What the heck? Jelizerg is an absolute monster. Now there's 3. Now he must have scouted the Greater Spire when I didn't, because he must have known those gardens were coming, and that's why we see the starports. That's why we see him producing these raids. The Hydralisks may actually be in response to expecting those raids. I don't know if Jelizerg scouted the starports at some point, but now he's got these Guardians pushing across the map, and this is, I don't know how you stop this. If he engages with the Guardians with his Medic Marines, the Lurkers slaughter them. If he engages with the Guardians with Wraiths, the Hydralisks slaughter them. He's taking out the bunkers, which are the main defense against the Lurkers. Jelizerg is going for the kill, ladies and gentlemen. Barreling down this choke point with so many units, tons of Hydras. The Guardians just raining down fire and death from above, from behind the other ground units. The Lurkers slaughtering everything and forcing him back into his main. The command center, the natural, is going to go down extremely quickly. Those SCVs are actually somehow going to be able to get out. But he's going to GG anyways. There's too much stuff there. He knows the rates are not going to be enough to deal with that. And just, I don't know how Jelizerg does it. He's amazing. He's just like, I'm just going to just take the map and get so much stuff. How? He just, I don't... So much stuff! Jelizerg is the embodiment of the Swarm, ladies and gentlemen. That is the character of the Zerg race. And Jelizerg embodies their character just better than anyone else, especially in 2005. He is just able to just You know, he's the next generation of, you know, they called Yellow the Storm Zerg, right? Because he was I think the first, I could be wrong about this, but he was definitely the best in the early days. He probably wasn't the first, but he was the best in the early days of that utilization of the power of the Zerg and just the masses of units, right? And July Zerg has taken it to a new level, and it's just amazing to see him perform that way. And you know, again, I don't know what GoodFriend could do. You know, GoodFriend, well, you know, I know what he could have done. He could have not screwed up in this early attack. You know, when he went in here, he saw the Zerglings. Boom, right this second, right now, this second, he sees these Zerglings. And when July Zerg has 6 Zerglings, you know he's got 12. Right? He does not skimp on the Zerglings. This is the moment where he has to decide, am I going to fight those Zerglings, or am I going to retreat and hold my ramp against those Zerglings and go for a longer game and build up, get some medics, get some firebats, and have a better chance against these Zerglings? This is the moment, right here, when he has to make that decision. What decision does he make? To fall back. And then he stops and reverses that decision. Now he's making neither decision. He's not falling back to hold up. But he also, I guess he was waiting for like maybe these other, like one more Marine or something like that. How many Marines did he have? I don't think he was even regrouping with any more Marines, was he? He's got 4 Marines here. So this is showing the team bench there. Those are, I believe, GoodFriend's teammates cheering on him. So he's got 4 Marines. He's moving out with 4 Marines and a 5th coming up. So all he does is he kind of regroups there. So again, maybe he thought that it was a good decision to try and battle, but again, you know, we'll come back to this spot. He chooses to turn and fight. He's going to turn and fight. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Marines. So he actually got 2 Marines that reinforced for those 4. And he's going to try and fight it. And it looks like it's doing well. But he loses a Marine. He micros one back. He micros the other back. And then look at this. How many Marines? How many Zerglings are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 Zerglings. 4 or 5 Zerglings and 3 or 4 Marines. And he decides to run and then loses the reinforcing Marine that was rallied poorly. And he's going to lose some more Marines as well. He stops again and runs again. And the Zerglings are just faster as well, so they're going to go ahead and catch up and just pick off all the Marines. And he doesn't even get onto the ramp well enough really either at this point. Okay, actually he does kind of get onto the ramp, but you know, it's just, you know, and again, that's all it takes. Just like we saw in the previous game as well, it took just that little bit of a disadvantage of him losing enough Marines that he's now vulnerable. That he has to kind of sit back for a minute. And July Zerg says, all right, well, if you have to sit back, you're going to let me do what I want, which is expand and get stuff. And he actually gets, you know, this is interesting. July Zerg does this a lot too. He actually gets the Zerglings first. And, you know, this is a chance. Okay, here's another thing. Let's look at this. This is GoodFriend's chance to get back in it, right? Because GoodFriend has to stay in his base because of this exact reason. Because where's the other group of Zerglings? Okay, let's go back a little bit. Here we go. So he's got one group of Zerglings, and he brings up another group of Zerglings from behind, right? And he's going to go in for an attack. So this is why GoodFriend has to be defensive, right? Because if this happens, he dies. If he's not defensive, if he tries to be pushing out on the map more, or if he tries to tech or expand too fast or something like that, there's like 20 lings here or something like that, and he could die to it, and he still might die to it. Look at this, and look at this again. There's a spot here. There's a spot here. The Zerglings have a route for a surround. He stops. This Zergling stops and starts attacking. This Zergling stops and starts attacking. And look at these lings over here. Look at these lings in the back doing nothing. So instead of 20 lings versus 8 Marines and 2 medics, it's like 6 lings versus 8 Marines and 2 medics. And then another 4 lings. And then the medic gets in the way and stops that route as well. And again, the Zerglings in the back, running around doing nothing that whole time. This is GoodFriend's chance to get back into the game by winning this little battle, right? But yeah, I'm not even sure. Like that kind of is almost equivalent of what the disadvantage he got before. He now has an advantage here, but yeah, Jelizerg still maintained map control, I think, is what it comes down to. And even with this little failed attack there, where he unburrowed the Zerglings and they all died. Ran in some other Zerglings from the side and they all died as well. Why does GoodFriend not take advantage of this moment? He does. That's right, he does. He goes in for the push. Oh, that's why, because it's because of this. Can we see it? This. Jelizerg ran instead of defending with his Zerglings, he ran them into the main and starts killing SCPs. So I think I'm like going back and like trying to trace the path of this game and where things went wrong for GoodFriend, and I think this was the moment. The first part was bad, and then on the ramp he got it back again. That was his makeup moment, right? And then this is when it falls apart, because I think losing these SCVs and this momentum in the back to a handful of Zerglings is what enables Jelizerg to take the advantage after this, right? Because because he actually did in this attack. This is going pretty well, right? And again, you know, if this was it right now, he could have maybe pulled back, killed the drones or something like that. This drones round was very, very well defended. He could have turned and tried to kill these drones instead of aiming for the sunken colonies or something along those lines. But if this attack fails and he does some damage to Jelizerg's economy, forces the drone pull, kills some drones, kills some sunkens, etc., that's okay if he didn't also lose those SCVs in his main at the same time, I think. And then after that, Jelizerg was like, okay, well now you don't have enough. Anyway, all right, well that's gonna do it. Maybe overly exhaustive analysis of this game. Especially overly exhaustive considering that I am not a programmer from 2005. So I don't actually know what's going on in these guys' heads or what the best plays would be, but it's fun to think about it. I like looking at it and doing that, especially since we're in this finals here and we want to make sure that we're thinking about all the different plays that have been made and the different quirks about the way that these players play and their micro moving into the final game or games. This was game number 3. Jelizerg takes a 2-1 lead over GoodFriend. He just has to win one single more game in order to take the series and become the champion again after a year without standing on the tallest part of the podium. And GoodFriend, though, can come back, especially if Jelizerg makes some mistakes. You know, Jelizerg did make mistakes in this game that in slightly different circumstances, if GoodFriend hadn't also made mistakes, GoodFriend probably would have taken the game, right? And he'd be in the same position. So it's not over yet. GoodFriend can still fight back. He can still win game 4 and bring it to a final deciding game to see who's going to be the champion. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks very much for watching. GG. I'll see you with game number 4 very soon.